When you read the title of this video, you may at first be a little bit confused on what I mean.
If you're looking for Ranmir, he's either passed out in bed or working on winding up that way.
What a shame.
Skyrim is a game known to be often, well, very buggy. Hilariously buggy, in fact. Game-breaking buggy, to be in fact, and hella janky. The game's combat and gameplay is outdated, and the graphics are nothing special for today's standards in the industry. So, how could I say that the game's aged so well? Well, in this video, I want to try and show you and tell you why I think so many people come back to Skyrim, and therefore, why I think it is secretly aged so much better than you might have originally thought. Before I continue with the video, a like and subscribe would be appreciated. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. The first thing I want to start by talking about is the game's art style. In order for your game to truly become timeless, and therefore age well, you need a certain kind of art style. Now, could you tell me what this art style is? Well, let me give you a clue. Half-Life has it, Heavy Rain has it, and Skyrim also has it. Now, you may be saying, Truth, each one of these games have completely different art styles. What are you talking about? And you would be absolutely 100% correct. Yet, at the same time, they all share something very similar. Their ability to not be over the top. For example, Half-Life 2 is a first-person shooter where you run around shooting aliens from different worlds, while they shoot back at you with various weapons and alien-related mechanics. The story feeds into this by having the player rebel against these aliens trying to save the world, which by the time of Half-Life 2 takes place is already taken over and run by the Combine Force, the aliens that have taken over the planet. With all that being said, some may hear what I just said and say that sounds like Halo or Gears of War, or maybe even a Mass Effect type game, and you would be right. However, what makes these games so different is their art style. Half-Life has a cold art style. They could have chosen to go with a very alien or futuristic or techie art style for this world, but they didn't do that. The game looks almost modern worldly, with events, people and objects in the game looking incredibly like ones from our real life world. Half-Life 2 has been around for 20 years. Well, and while some say there should be a remake, all agree that it's not a necessary or needed thing. And this is all thanks to the game's realistic and relatable art style. An art style that could be so much more, but because it's not, therefore does the game a service and makes the game age beautifully. Heavy Rain, a PS3 exclusive choice-making game, is my favourite choice-making game of all time, and the art style remains timeless, thanks to once again a very flat and neutral art style tone, much like Half-Life's. For example, unlike the one seen in Detroit Become Human, which is very vibrant and has a techie look to it, Heavy Rain is very flat. Now finally, Skyrim. When I say to you the word Oblivion, you may think of a bright, pretty world with lots of trees that reminds you of Lord of the Rings. Or you may think of a hellish world, the world of Oblivion. Or when I say Morrowind, you may think of a thick, scary looking, creepy and dangerous swamp. But when I say Skyrim, what do you think? Maybe you think of a cliff, a mountain, a little village. But the vibe is not quite the same, is it? In fact, the fantasy vibe that so many RPGs push for over the years is just not really there in Skyrim. There's no overall scary feeling to Skyrim. There's no overall mystical feeling to Skyrim. There's no overall really hellish feeling to Skyrim. Skyrim has its own feeling. Skyrim for a fantasy RPG is very plain, but plain in the best of ways. The game has some of the best environments and different villages ever, but yet it's hard to describe the raw vibe the game really offers. The world is grey and black, the weapons are grey and black, and even most of the enemies are this grey and black sort of colour scheme. But this fundamentally helps Skyrim to become timeless. Skyrim's art is blunt, and that's why it works as a game. It doesn't have a whimsical vibe to the game, and it doesn't have an overly artsy vibe either. Skyrim is brutally simple, which makes its portrayal of an open world RPG mythical game so much different to anything else even in the modern industry. And it makes the Skyrim world and the Oblivion world feels so deep and connected to itself in such a deep and interesting way. I've recently been playing and enjoying Avowed lately, but playing it I've noticed some complaints about the game's art. Avowed is a bright, colourful, very fantasy-based game, and the art is absolutely vibrantly beautiful. But this contrasts with Skyrim's frankly dark grey and rather blunt and boring art style. But yet, over Avowed, the Skyrim art style is one that most people can resonate with and connect to. This is because the Skyrim art style, unlike Avowed, isn't appealing to just one audience. It isn't appealing to the overall mass of fantasy. The Skyrim art style is its own art style, much like the Heavy Rain art style, much like the Half-Life 2 art style. Each one of these games incorporate what seems like real-world assets into their game to fuel something more, to fuel something that truly makes each one of their games from an art point of view completely and utterly timeless. Half-Life 2 looks timeless because of its assets and world. Heavy Rain looks timeless because of its assets and world, and Skyrim looks completely timeless because of its assets and world, grounded in its reality. The open world to any game is important, however with Skyrim it could not be more important to the game still being replayed to this day. I think what makes Skyrim's open world so special is how much love is really placed into it. It's not the largest open world in the games industry by any means, however it is filled and ram-packed with care and so much to see and do. Every cliff, every enemy encounter, every dungeon all feels different in their own small ways. Not to mention Skyrim's iconic villages and settlements. For me, the villages are the highlight of Skyrim. Every single one is oozing with its own unique personality. From Whiterun to Riften to Riverwood, each one feels different in their own way. The thing about Skyrim's open world, which makes it so timeless, is how similar it can all appear to be at first glance. But when you take a deeper look into the world, you can truly unveil how different each settlement and area is in the game truly. I mentioned this in my Bethesda video, but when it came to pitching Skyrim at Bethesda, the team of people who were going to work on the open world for Skyrim were not that excited whatsoever, as they weren't really sure how they could make what seemed to just be a snowy area in the overall Elder Scrolls series seem interesting and feel different. But in the end, they would manage to, and they would do an incredible job too. There are open areas, full-blown snow areas, forests, snowy mountains, orchards. Skyrim all looks so similar at a first glance, but then once you go a little bit deeper, it gets more deeper, and the deeper you go, the more depth you can find in the game. All of that helps to make people want to come back and replay the game again and again and again, and each time someone may find something new. You see, Skyrim's open world is very different to other open worlds. It's not like your Fallout game, or it's not like your Avowed, or it's not like your Hogwarts Legacy. There's no certain area the player has to go to straight away. I think another thing that really helps to make Skyrim's open world feel so different to these other games is the fact that at a first glance it may look like it's simple, but upon going deeper, like I said before, you get something deeper. The issue with other open world games is that they're either way too shallow, like some people say about Hogwarts Legacy, where everything is very surface level, or they're way too confusing and deep, like many people say about Starfield or Destiny. It's Skyrim's initial simplicity that makes people love the open world and then fall in love with the elements in the open world when they can actually explore and see how much there is to it. Like I said, Skyrim's map isn't huge, but it doesn't have to be, because there's so much depth within the game. It may all look similar, but when you go deeper than surface level, you can replay the same sections over and over and over again and find something new in every single village, even though you might have been there 100 times. And that is truly what makes Skyrim's open world timeless. The final thing I now want to talk about is Skyrim's gameplay. Now, the gameplay in any game is very important, but when it comes to making your gameplay timeless, you have to do two things. Balance the gameplay with it being simple, but also with it being unique. Luckily for Skyrim, Skyrim's gameplay has both, and does both incredibly well. Skyrim's gameplay is perfectly balanced. I mentioned Avowed earlier, and that game has great gameplay, but there is a lot of systems in Avowed that the player needs to understand. But with Skyrim, the gameplay is short and simple. You can have the opposite effect with open world games such as Hogwarts Legacy, where everything may seem a bit too simple, but Skyrim hits it with the perfect balance.
Look, pretty, isn't it? Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Skyrim's gameplay is both short but simple, but also very fun, and there's a hell of a lot of different systems involved without it being overly complex. There's swords, shields, bows, and of course spells. The spell casting in Skyrim is simple and easy to understand, but yet very fun and different to other games. Still to this day, the spell casting and even shouts feels extremely unique to Skyrim. Speaking of the shouts, they are also very simple to understand, but are a unique mechanic that only really Skyrim uses. Skyrim's gameplay itself is simple, but allows for many different play styles, which means people keep coming back to the game, and it makes the game truly feel timeless. I think one thing that helps with Skyrim's replayability is the races as well. Every single race in Skyrim truly has its own unique play style, which you the player can decide to feed into or make your own one. You can be a Khajiit, you can be a generic human. You can be an orc. All of these different races help to make replayability, and it's something really unique to Skyrim, as not many other games offer it, other than of course the other Elder Scrolls games, obviously. Skyrim's gameplay itself is simple, like I said, but it's also very fun. The physics are fun, the sword combat's fun, the bows are fun, the spells and casting are very fun, and the enemies are extremely fun to fight. The gameplay truly feels timeless, and it's a system that holds up to this day, something that not many games can say they do. It balances complex gameplay with simple gameplay, meaning that the wider audience of the world can both enjoy Skyrim from a complex side, but also love it as just a casual player. And it has that replayability through the different combat styles and gameplay styles, and of course the races, making Skyrim's gameplay also timeless. In conclusion, there are a lot of games that are actually timeless. Games like Half-Life, games like Minecraft, and games like Skyrim. They're all timeless for different reasons, but some of them overlap with things such as their graphics and art style. Skyrim is timeless for many reasons. Its gameplay, its open world, its visuals, its art style. Skyrim is a timeless game, and I wanted this video to really help you to understand why I personally think it's timeless. I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. If I've got anything wrong, also let me know, as this is my first ever Skyrim video. I hope you guys have enjoyed, I hope you're all staying well, and I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.